This is Local SEO Tactics, where each week we bring you tips and tricks to help your business get found online. Jesse Dolan, your host here, back again with Bob Brennan.
Howdy.
And I'd just like to kick this episode off. It's our first episode in about a year. So kind of cool to be back on the mic.
Yeah.
Hot mic, you're saying? And just share some stats here real quick before we kind of jump into it. So just kind of reset and see where we're at. So first of all, like I said, it's been about a year since we've had a new episode. We kicked this whole show / podcast off in February of 2018. First episode, worst episode ever.
Yeah.
You know, we did 39 total episodes that first season / first year, whatever you want to call it. I think it turned out pretty good. Had a lot of good feedback, met a lot of new people. A lot of you out there listening and watching have engaged with us. 22,000 downloads. I'm just going to kind of go off some stats here quick. 22,000 downloads, which I think is pretty impressive.
Crazy.
We didn't know where it was going to go when we started. Over 300 companies have used our instant SEO audit, which we talk about pretty much on every episode. Totally free. We'll mention it again here in a minute. So that's impressive. Over 300 companies. A lot of these companies have used it, dozens of times too. So this thing has gotten thousands of uses. A lot of you out there that's where we get a lot of good feedback too.
Yeah.
Actually, people are saying, hey, this tool is great. Awesome feedback, great checklist. So.
And we've been busy subsequently with all those. I mean, we've got a lot of people that asked for help, and we've been working with a lot of companies too. So
yeah,
between that and our families and everything else for the last year, we haven't had time to podcast, but we're back in the saddle right now. So we're excited. Yeah.
And thanks for bringing that up too, because, we've been wanting to kick this back off for months now, and just keeps getting kicked down the road a little bit. But we're kind of hitting that 1 year mark. We figure we better get this sucker back up and running. So kind of exciting to get back in the saddle again. So let's just dive in. We're going to be talking today about something that we've talked about extensively before, which is Google My Business, for local SEO, which is what we're talking about, what you guys are listening for, gals are listening for. Google My Business is the number one thing you should be concerned about. It's the number one area to get found.
Yeah.
It's free. It's your direct communication line with Google, and it's really the most important thing you should be doing. So we're going to focus on that. Before we jump into that, though, let's go back and talk about one thing I forgot to talk about, which is our new domain name.
Yeah.
So for anybody who's been paying attention to the show in the past, Intrix, that's our marketing agency, Intrix.com, INTRYCKS. That had been the home for this show the first year. We've actually got Local SEO Tactics.com now as a domain name. So for this show, for all the past episodes, everything else related to this show, you'd be able to go there. And that's also where you're going to find our instant SEO audit tool online. LocalSEOTactics.com. Click on the yellow button, free SEO audit. Plug in your domain, plug in your keyword. You can analyze against competitor. It's just a great tool if you're looking to get a grade on your website. How am I doing? Where do I need to work on for SEO? Use that tool. Totally free. Use it as many times as you want. It's pretty quick, very, very detailed. Check it out at the new domain, localseotactics.com. So that being said, get that out of the way. We're going to jump into the Google My Business area, and we're going to talk specifically about the Google posts. It's kind of I don't say like a micro blog or even a social media type of a deal, but it allows you to create posts, which are like little mini articles right within your Google My Business listing. If you don't have a Google My Business listing right now, if you're not set up on the GMB, as we call it, go check out, I think our first 2 episodes, if I'm not mistaken, of the show were focused just on that. Yeah. What is Google My Business? How to get set up for it? How to leverage it? Take care of that if you don't know what we're talking about. First things first. Now, if you are set up on that, the post area is a very powerful, free communication area right within Google that you're going to want to take advantage of. First thing we got to say about it is, why should you use this? You're feeding data and information to Google. Google is the file cabinet, for all things. When we mention your business, information you want to put out there, context, what it is you do, anything you can do to provide that information to Google to put in their file cabinet is good. Within your Google My Business, they give you this area called posts. You just fill that sucker up. And we're going to go through the 4 main areas right now today within Google My Business to do that. It's always changing, always evolving. Down the road, they may add to it. We cut an episode about this topic as one of our first on the first year of the podcast. Here we are about a year and change later. It's time for an update. It kind of shows you that it evolves, it changes. So even if you've already done this, check this episode out. There's probably going to be some things in here that are going to help you out and maximize it even further. So the first area that we want to talk about is the update post. So actually, I'll reset real quick the 4 areas. There's an update post, an event post, which is kind of like it sounds if you're posting about an event that you're having at your store or your business. There's a Google offer post, which is kind of like a promotional offer. And then there's a product post, which is literally like it says, it's about a product. So Google defines these 4 areas because when you're creating these posts, they kind of give you slightly different fields or information. So if you're doing an event post, that's kind of date driven, it's not an update about your business. It's an event. So if you do an event post, you're going to have dates. So if you have an offer post, a promotion, you're going to have kind of dates on that for when it might expire, if you will. So that's the reason they kind of have 4 different categories. We're going to jump into each one real quick, talk about some highlights of them and how to use them best and some best practices. So the first one is the update post. It's a very generic, kind of general post about your business. It's almost like a blank slate. It doesn't have to be an offer. It doesn't have to be an event or individual product. It can be about something that's going on within your company, maybe some news, but it sure can be about any of those other fields or category types if you want. The thing to know about that is it does expire in 7 days. So if it's information that you want to have out there, kind of be permanent, don't use the update post. You wouldn't want to have that be the spot that you feature, your A1 product or something like that, because it's going to go away after 7 days. We'll get into the why that timeline is important here in just a minute. The event post is kind of like it sounds, like we mentioned earlier. It's about an event. If you're having maybe a big sale, an anniversary, a party, an open house, something like that, you're going to want to put that out there as an event. You can tag locations, put the dates in there, any information you want, a photo, obviously, to help highlight it. And not only is Google going to kind of categorize that different, they understand the context. Somebody who's searching for an event or doing a search that's relevant to an event versus just a general update post. So if people are looking for maybe things to do in your area or, things of that nature, Google is going to recognize this post from you as an event and offer that up as a relevant result. Yeah, which is pretty cool. The offer post, that's probably my favorite, to be super nerdy on the whole deal. That's probably my favorite type of Google post because we find, this is not scientific, here, but we find that Google gives a little more weight to that offer post than other posts. If you do a search in the, just go to google.com and do a search for a local service, you're going to pop that 3-pack, like we call it.
Right.
Again, if people don't know what we're talking about, that's the top 3 results you'll see that are in like that map pack area on the search results. Sometimes listed as ABC, but usually with a map with icons of the businesses. If you have information in your Google offer post that's relevant to that search, then you're going to see a little snippet, kind of where your reviews are, for the companies. People are familiar with that. Kind of name of the company, then how many reviews you have. If you have something that's relevant to that searcher's phrase that they put in, it's going to show that right in that same area as a snippet in the map pack. That's super powerful because, as we know, we've talked about reviews in the past, how important reviews are. Even if you're ranked 3rd in that map pack, but you have the most reviews, you're going to get that click.
So, for instance, if you're a garage or auto mechanic shop or whatever, you would ask yourself, okay, what are the top 3 or 4 services that we provide? And let's say one of them's obviously oil changes. Mm-hmm. You'd want to put, oil changes at $39 or starting at whatever price point. So that shows up in your snippet.
Correct. And so then if you do that and somebody's searching for oil changes near me or whatever it is, not only is your business going to show up in the map pack, right, with your stars and everything else, but it's going to grab that sentence with that word oil change in there and also put it in your listing. That's just going to make you stand out even more, from everybody else. Sure. So in that case, for the offer, it does 2 things. One, Google understands the information you're putting in that offer post, right? That you do oil changes. So it's kind of giving you some SEO juice with that, right? Secondly, it's then incorporating some of that text right into that listing to help you convert more people, right? So it's kind of a double whammy. Helps you get found with the SEO signals, and then helps you convert from a user standpoint off of the Google page because they're seeing some text that's related to what they're searching for. And Google will even bold, or kind of make those exact phrase matches like oil change. They'll put that in bold in your snippet. It really stands out for people. So of all the post types, that's my favorite. And that one sticks around for a year. Once you put it in there. You can make it expire sooner, but timeline up to a year. So if you have a really good offer that you want to put out there, do it once. It's good for the whole year, and you're going to get that impact. So
that's really a tactic. You sit down with your team and you just say, okay, what are the 6 or 12 things we want to be found for? And this is again, the offer post that you're going to put this in.
Yep. Yeah. And you can have it be, you're going to get, I think it's a couple hundred words of text in that post.
Yeah.
The first 60, 70, 80, depending on the words you're using, are going to be the ones that are going to be showing up in the search results when you see the little snippet for the post. I'm not talking about that snippet in the map pack I was referring to, but just when you see the post on the page. So if you're having kind of multiple things in there, make sure you're front loading all that so people can see everything. Google is going to see and understand everything you're putting in that post.
Right.
But from a user standpoint, for human eyes, you're going to see usually between that first 60 and 80 words that you put in that post. So yeah, if you're doing oil changes, brakes, and mufflers, let's say, right, for your garage, make sure in those first couple sentences you're mentioning all those so people will kind of see that and that'll pop. But absolutely, you could use it just for one of those things or cram them all in there, your top 3, 5, 6, whatever it is.
Can you go nuts? So can you do like 20 things? Does that kind of muddy the water, or should you just stick to any ideas there?
Yeah, if you got 200 words to play with, let's say.
Yeah.
Whatever you can fit in there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's absolutely. You're going to get a graphic, an image with that you can upload. That image probably can't cover all 20 things that you can cover in text, right, per se. Maybe it's a picture of your garage. Maybe it's like a coupon looking thing. And that's actually a good point to bring up. Your image can be 2 things, and you can play with how these convert. Just like everything else in Google My Business, they'll show you how many times this gets seen, how many times it gets clicked, so you can kind of know, was this offer successful or not. And maybe you try the offer for, let's say, a week or 2 with a picture of your garage, in this case.
Sure.
Maybe then you do another test later, the exact same text, but maybe it's a picture of a coupon, that says, it doesn't even have to be a coupon. This is something we talk with a lot of customers on. The offer doesn't have to be a discount or a special price even. You can just use this offer post to make a statement. Like, we do oil changes.
Yeah.
Super fast oil changes. So that
synthetic
graphic,
oil changes.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever, yeah. So that graphic doesn't have to be a coupon like 50% off, but it can look like a coupon and just say, synthetic oil changes here, So playing with a straight picture versus some kind of text or artwork to see how that converts too is something that'd be interesting for you to try out. So again, we got the update post, event post, offer post, and then the last one is a product post. And this one's pretty powerful too. A good rule of thumb on this is you're going to want to do a product post for every product that you offer. Might sound a little intimidating or daunting there, but if you think about it, this is your direct way to tell Google about every product that you offer.
Right.
Like, okay, even if it takes 2 days to do it or 4 days to do it or whatever,
right,
do it. This is your direct communication to tell Google, this is everything that I have to do with that. Just like the other posts, a couple hundred words of text, an image, and some other details. With all of these, you can have them linked to specific pages of your website too, like read more, buy now. They have different options you can make for a button. So not only do you put this content out there, you also kind of associate it with pages on your website. So
of all these posts, you think this is the most critical?
Most critical?
And let me run this question by you. Oftentimes I've done search. We've all done this where we've searched for something, and obviously 3-packs get occupied.
Yep.
And it's a rare. Let's say you've got a rare exotic car like an MG or something like that, and you're looking for an MG mechanic. These 3 show up. You call all 3, and Google throws these in the 3-pack, and you call all 3, and none of them work on MGs.
Sure.
Do you think that's because they've loaded that product deal with all the different types of vehicles, and MG was one of them? Somebody else did the work for them. Yep. You know what I mean? Yep. Where we're like, we'll do your GMB, and they put Ford and Mercedes and everything else.
Smash all the brands.
I mean, is that the logic, or okay?
Yeah, you definitely. It's an area. If you're going to get spammy in any of these, that the product is the one. You just and when we say put up a post for every product, if you have a chair, but there's 5 versions of that chair,
get all 5.
Get all 5 in there. Do an individual one for each one. So you have 5 different product posts that look very similar, but slightly different. So within that, that could be something that would kind of cause that in the map pack if somebody's doing that. It's also, if you're on mobile, it's even more prevalent, I guess, right? Or pronounced. If you were to do the same search on desktop versus mobile, you're going to see more real estate on mobile given to those posts. They make them more visible, I guess is the way to put it. Just because of the nature of the screen size and everything else and how they display them. But that being said, the product posts are very important. My favorite, I would say, is still the offer post, just because it's pretty powerful, and it seems like it trumps everything. When we've experimented with it, we can have update posts and product posts out there, and it's, when I talk about it, pulling that snippet into the 3-pack for that sentence and making the text bold. Google seems to favor the offer post for doing that, right? Which is kind of where it's my favorite. It just kind of has a little more power to it.
Yeah.
But as far as painting with a broad brush, and if you're only going to do one of these areas, then I would definitely side with that product post, because that's where you can, again, every single product that you have to offer, you're putting that right into the GMB. You can't do that with the offer post or these other ones, because you kind of get one offer post right at a time. So in that sense, yeah, product post is probably the most powerful. So with these, kind of some real quick best practices, that's kind of the quick overview of what these things are. Use all of them for your business, right? So this is my favorite. Bob's saying, is this the most powerful? We give you that information, but do all of these, if you can. You don't have to pick and choose. Do all of these. Why should you do it? This gives you more relevancy. Not only are you communicating all this information straight to Google, filling your file in that Google database, in that Google file cabinet, you're providing more relevancy to your GMB. So you're making it known to Google. You're being more relevant about these topics. Because to your point about, was it the MG? Is that the brand you use, right?
Yep.
Google understands that that's a vehicle, right? So even if you're not putting a specific brand, but you're posting about auto repair, if there's no other repair shops that seem relevant to, let's say, European auto repair, even if you're not mentioning that specific brand, but you're posting about similar brands, Google kind of understands this now. So that's kind of where that relevancy comes into play, even if it's not explicit. So use them all, use all the products up. You get more relevancy. It helps your SEO juice. And the last but not least, at the end of the day, is you use up more real estate on the results page. If you don't have posts, you're not going to have them shown in your profile with Google. If you do have posts, they're going to show them. So that's going to kind of bump out that section, right? There's either nothing there and they kind of bring the rest of the page up, or over, depending on if it's desktop or mobile. And if you do have posts, they're going to expand your visibility area there with that box and show a little scroll for your posts and things like that. So this is very valuable real estate that we want to take up.
And so the end goal of this, obviously, is getting the 3-pack with all this, right?
Oh, yeah.
And by getting, just so everybody understands and follows along with this, the objective is to get in that 3-pack in that GMB. And the implications of that, if you're a service business, it's probably going to be 40 to 50% of your calls if you're in that 3-pack. If you're out of that 3-pack, you're going to see your calls drop by at least 50%. So it's an easy, quick win versus natural SEO for what we call the SERPs. That's a longer play. It takes time. It can take time depending on the market and the type of service that you're providing. But it's just a much longer play, where GMB is a pretty quick win. I mean, sometimes you can get in that 3-pack, anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks, maybe. I mean, if you're good and you're putting time into this. So to that end, what can you talk about the time that you're putting into all this? I mean, how much time and how often? And
so there's a couple ways to go about it. If you wanted to sit down and just kind of write, new unique content, you're talking, each one of these posts is 100 to 200 or 300 words, right? It's kind of in that range. It depends on your creative writing skills or how inspired you are or what kind of muse you're working with. So I don't know, maybe that takes somebody 5 minutes or 45 minutes. Depends how perfect you want to be. With that being said, in these posts area, don't worry about being perfect, right?
No English majors, just get it done, right?
This is not an essay. This is not something that's very frontal. Like 80 to 90%, again, very unscientific numbers here, right? 80 to 90% of the reason of doing this is to just communicate this information to Google, not for human eyes,
right?
For Google to know, right? You're filling out your card.
You're not trying to win an Oscar. You're just trying to get it out there.
Right. So just kind of mash the content up and get it out. That's how we roll. Right. There's some people out there, I'm sure, that would say, oh, no, you really got to craft it and control your brand, which I'm not going to argue with that. But from a time standpoint, We're talking about wanting to do as many of these posts as possible. We'll get into some frequency stuff here in a few minutes. Bang it out. Just get it out there. I would say your image, well, with regards to your text, making sure your certain phrases are in there, right? From an SEO standpoint,
Yeah.
That's where I'd give some thought. Crafting the other 150 words, as long as it reads good English and makes sense,
Right.
I publish. Let's go to the next one. Your image would be something that I might give a little more attention to because, images is worth 1,000 words, right? Like we say, or a picture is worth 1,000 words. So having the right image, making sure it looks good and it's attractive, just like any other approach to an ad or an image, understand what the results page looks like on Google. If it's not. And this is a stupid example, warning, stupid example ahead. If the Google result page was yellow, like don't make your image yellow. It'll blend in, right? Just kind of make sure you're contrasting, looking different, whether it's colors, text, however you're doing it. But I would definitely give my attention to the image more than the actual creative writing side. Now, that being said, a nice shortcut for people, just go to your website. Usually if you're going to post, let's say you have 10 products, just to kind of have a small number. If you have 10 products, you probably have them mentioned on your website. Maybe you even have 10 pages on your website, one for each product, or you have a brochure that was made at some point. Just take that information, just copy. You don't have to write brand new content. Don't worry about, quote, duplicate content or any of this. Just take a page off your website, copy and paste the text, maybe rearrange those first 10 to 20 words to make sure those first 10 to 20 words are going to be the first words Google reads and the first words humans read. So make sure your SEO phrases are kind of front loaded where applicable. So I'd copy some text off my website, maybe rearrange that first sentence or two, get a good image and hit publish. With that kind of a process, you're talking minutes, right? I mean, 2, 3, 4 minutes to do that. And I don't think you need to do, too much more than that, quite frankly.
Okay.
With that, for your posting strategy, we're kind of getting into this next phase here about how, when, and things like that. Back to those update posts, that's kind of the generic, not an event, not an offer, not a product, but everything else type of post. Those expire within 7 days. Now, they still stay with Google. People can go back and look at those posts, but Google doesn't kind of show that, out front, so to speak. After 7 days, they kind of put them in the archive. So still very important to do, but understand that you should probably be doing this once a week. Somebody on your team, within your GMB, you can invite other people and you can give them manager or, slightly less access so they can get in and do this stuff without screwing up the rest of your GMB. But you definitely want to have on your calendar to do one of these per week. You can do more than one. There's no problem with doing that. But if you're not at least putting out one a week, you're going to kind of lose that visibility after 7 days.
So the theory is Google's really, with all this, I think Google's really trying to see how engaged you are, right?
Yeah, for sure.
How engaged you are in your business, how engaged you are with Google. The more content and valid content you can put on there in all those various posts.
Yep.
They're saying, hey, this is a valid business. And sometimes you'll see in the 3-pack, you'll see a business with no reviews, but somehow they're in the 3-pack and they're there forever. Well, they're missing out. They should be getting reviews, but they haven't done that. So they're missing the boat, but that's their problem. But they are putting more content on there than other people that are not in the 3-pack.
Gotta be doing something. Yep.
They're doing something. They're not doing everything right, obviously. So that kind of answers some of those questions.
Yep.
How do you get in the 3-pack? Well, Google wants to know you're engaged, you're posting your hours, you're doing all the various posts. So it is worth time spent, working on this to whatever extent.
And I had a customer phrase it like this. This isn't perfect, but it's really kind of a good analogy. Like what a blog is to your website. It's just kind of different posts and different things.
Yeah.
This is to your GMB.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Not exactly, but it kind of fits. Yeah. It fits pretty close there is a good way to think about it. So like you're saying, that freshness, how often you're in there, how active you are, definitely is something Google sees. They track it. And we know that's important, even though Google hasn't come out and said this is an important SEO factor. Here's the bottom line is we know that they incorporate these results into search. They'll pull out the snippets.
Yep.
They'll include certain amounts of text. They'll show different types of posts depend on your search for the same company. So all these different post types that you're loading in there, if you're searching for a company for a specific product or service, they'll give more or less relevancy or showing different posts to you, right? So they understand your posts because they're showing different posts. They understand your posts because they're showing different characters of text within them. Excuse me. And they use this to for your product posts, kind of create a shopping scroll, if you will, right? So even though they haven't come out and said this is a direct SEO signal, they're using this in many different ways. They understand it all. They understand how fresh the content is, how engaged you are. And really, I guess, last but not least, is they show you the stats. How many times people have seen this post of yours, right? How many people have seen this product post of yours, engaged with it, clicked on it, things like that. So there's no way this would not be valuable.
Right.
If they're doing all those different things around it, they wouldn't invest into those abilities.
So we've been gone for almost a year now, off the air or off the podcast here. And part of the reason we've been gone is we've had an influx of businesses asking us to manage their GMBs.
Yep.
How many GMBs do we manage at this point?
Oh, right now I think it's probably between 135, 140. 140 listings, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's a service we don't really tout. We can do it, and it's just kind of a byproduct of this podcast. Is people are like, hey, I don't have time to deal with this. Can you deal with it? And so if that's something you need help with, feel free to reach out. We can manage your GMB or help you manage your GMB. But this is, this I think is a critical piece for small business, really all business, but small business, small local service businesses. You got to get it right. So.
And it's something, just to expand on that, not to turn this into an infomercial about ourselves, but a lot of the customers that we've worked with doing this, where they like having us do their GMB services for them, is we don't have to touch their website.
Yeah.
I mean, as a marketing agency, doing both is the best. Like, to have a symbiotic relationship between your website and your GMB, your posting and all this, makes the most sense. But sometimes people have somebody else that's doing their website, and they don't want to kind of disrupt that.
Well, it isn't always that case. There's some of that, but really what it is trust, right? So
yeah, that too. Yep.
We earn their trust with their GMB, and then over probably 3 to 6 months, it evolves into, okay, yeah, can you handle our website? Because nobody has, crazy amounts of money to throw at their website. Yep. I mean, what we all do as businesses, but we just want to know it works. Yep. And GMB is kind of dipping your toe in the water and an easy way to see, how we move the needle in that area.
Sure.
So, but yeah, that's where it really all begins, is that GMB.
Yeah, it is. Like I said at the beginning of the episode here, this is why we keep talking about it. It's the most important part. So, bar none. Okay, just to kind of round this area out. So those update posts are good for a week. Offer posts, which again is my favorite, those are up to 12 months. You can set that to expire whenever you want. You can run it like an actual promo. You can say it doesn't start until next week, right? And then it ends the week after, or leading up to Black Friday, or whatever the case is. We generally put it in there and just set it to expire in 1 year, and set up a reminder somewhere in your calendar, whatever your system is, to put a new one out there 11 months later. That way you're never without one. And even if you just repost the same thing, just do a fresh version of it. But that's good for up to 1 year. Very, very powerful. The product posts, they really don't expire. Just if you have a new product, new variation, just be aware of. Usually people will do this in one kind of big swooping publication, put them all out there. Your business is going to change. Just make sure you have some kind of mechanism set up somewhere. If you bring a new product on, that you incorporate that into your posting strategy here too, that it's not disconnected from that end of the marketing. And then your event post is kind of self-explanatory. It's event and date driven, so just whatever. That kind of makes sense, right? So a couple other quick things. Again, that first, 2-3 sentences are the most visible and the most important from an SEO standpoint for converting people, for catching the eye. And Google seems to always give more weight to the beginning of text, right? Whether it's a headline on your website or a paragraph in your post here. Put your most important words at the front. That's where they start reading from, just like humans. They left to right, in the United States here at least. Use good SEO practices. Put the most important keywords and phrases in the beginning, in those first few areas. Include an image, something that's relevant. Usually a square is the aspect ratio that we're looking for here. Minimum of 250 by 250 pixels. When you do upload your image into the post, you can crop it. If it's bigger, if it's rectangular vertically or rectangular horizontally, you can crop it. And then also just be aware that those edges, different devices might have slightly different crop versions. So whatever your image is, make sure like it can be centered. If the top or the bottom gets cut off slightly, even after you manually crop it, It shouldn't be something where that kind of that outer 10% edge is extremely critical, because that can kind of get clipped off sometimes or changed a little bit. So just kind of be aware of that. And then definitely link to an important page on your website, a relevant page, I should say, on your website. If you're doing oil changes, don't link to your muffler page, and vice versa. Try to be specific and relevant. You can always just link right to your homepage too. There's nothing wrong with that. But where it has it, definitely link to it. Why not? You just connecting those dots to Google more, and for the customers, if they're interested, they click on it and then they roll from there. So
yeah, I mean, if you're working on Mercedes and people want to see you know what I mean? It's all about the best way to do it, but it's just convincing the customer that you actually work on Mercedes and having that link go to a Mercedes visual of some sort.
Yep. So that's pretty much it. I don't know if you have anything else to add on the topic, Bob, but just if you're not using Google Posts, get out there right now. If you're only going to have time to do one thing today, I would start with that Google offer post. That's the one we always start with. Literally, if it's relevant, you'll find that thing in the search engines within 5 minutes after you hit publish. Google really absorbs that really quick. And then get around to doing all your product posts. If you had to set these out in a priority order, then do all your product posts, one for each product, then leverage the other ones once a week for the update. And if you have an event, then use the event post. So I'd like to mention again real quick, if you do want to do an SEO audit on your website, go out to localseotactics.com, click on the yellow button, free SEO audit. Again, plug in your page. And when I say page, I mean page, like you can do your home page, but if there's a specific page you're trying to get ranked, that's the page you're going to want to put into the tool. It analyzes the page, not the website entirely. So plug in your page, plug in the keyword you're looking to get ranked for, let it do its thing, and it's going to give you a great report, totally free. Want to read one of our reviews from iTunes? Oh, that was another stat I forgot to share. 65. Wow. 5-star reviews on iTunes we've gotten since we started this thing, which is just stellar.
Tim Ferriss, look out.
Yeah, right. Right. Robin Leach. Everybody.
Exactly.
We're hanging out with all kinds of crazy people. That's why we've been away for a year. We've just been so busy. Okay. I think it's Geiger97. I hope I'm saying your name right, your username. The review, 5-star review, says such, I think it's supposed to say "and." It's throwing me. Such an important topic. SEO is something that I find so challenging, and the Local SEO Tactics podcast is so great at demystifying it. Great, easy to implement tips in every episode. Thanks for the awesome review. And I think I say this pretty much every time, but that's exactly what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Just quick tips, something you can implement. We're not trying to speak like we're some huge, late breaking SEO industry analysts here. We're not talking to the SEO community. We're talking to business owners, local marketers, people that want to get found locally. So if that's what we keep hearing from people is awesome show, awesome episode, I could actually take action on your tips. That's the whole reason we're doing this. So I appreciate the feedback. Everybody else, go to localseotactics.com. There you can find the link to the show, leave us a review, drop us some feedback. If you got an idea for a show, if you got questions you want answered, and again, if you can leave us a review, that's how we get that direct feedback, and it helps the show out too to get more exposure. So really appreciate that. And then, as you know, we read them on the shows every time. So that's about it for this week. Glad to be back in the saddle, and stay tuned.
Bye now.